we can all agree on one thing. Mainstream media will continue to treat us like we're stupid, like we can't see with our own eyes, hear with our own ears. They're going to continue to try to get this public narrative shoved into your brain until you admit that it's the truth. And everybody's over it.
And here we go.
Welcome to the freak show, the best in town.
Hi, guys. Hi, Hive.
What's going on, baby? You know you made it when Birdie hits you up and says, hop on the stream, man. I tell you what, it's a great time being here with everybody. Sammy, Birdie, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it, guys. It's going to be awesome.
One of the things that, when it comes to like the conspiracy theory, is who is Brian Koberger, right? Who is he? The media tells you that he's this ex-drug addict, wannabe loner, incel, serial killer who studied criminology so that he would know how to commit this perfect crime. And then it comes out after he takes this random-ass plea deal, when their only evidence on him is that there's trace DNA on a brand new looking leather knife sheath, and he didn't stalk them. He had no connection to them. Why are you confessing to this plea deal is everybody's question. Then it comes out, Brian Koberger's writing papers that get leaked that 90 to 95% of cases never go to trials, and they settle in plea deals because they're overcharged and they're scared into taking a plea, especially when the death penalty is involved. My question, just to kind of start this stream towards the Idaho 4, is what are the chances of that?
Well, yeah. I mean, there are people from WikiLeaks and stuff who came out, and whistleblowers even from before then, who said things were put on them because they knew things. So like whistleblowers from the government who wanted to come out, who told their supervisors, this is what's going on. I know this. Their whole lives were prosecuted. Bill Clinton accusers died, like shot at a Starbucks or something. I mean, this is like for real. People go to prison when things are put on them, and they take plea deals because they know that there's just no way out of this. This is the way it's going to be. And again, I think it's a little bizarre that Brian Koberger gets to get painted in this narrative when there's next to no evidence. Now we've had how many thousands of pages out where I'm still going, and where's the evidence? And where's the evidence? At this point, after all these interviews, after all of this DNA crap and this everything, I'm still looking for, where is the evidence against Brian? And then you have to also wonder, where are his parents? Where are his parents? Why haven't they said anything? It's all very weird. It's weird. It's giving very Matthew Crooks vibes. If anybody knows who that is, the guy who supposedly shot Trump on the roof and then got 2 in the head, and then the FBI quick did a Mr. Magoo mop-up job real quick. Like, it reminds me of that. Where are these people?
And his apartment was professionally cleaned. There was even like a fork in his apartment. There was nothing. We want to think our government would never do this to us, although they have. There's a giant pattern of this happening. The reason why it's hard for the average person to get it through their head is because the mainstream media doesn't ever tell you it. And you have to get your news from people that psychologically, they don't have as big of a following, or they're not on your nightly news. So you question them more.
We have on our show, Mad Dog Manny Aurora. He represented Young Thug, Lil Durk, Young Dolph's killer. So we get a lot of insight on everything. And when it comes to prosecutors, especially like a DA, like a district attorney, when they go into these cases, if they don't have a lot of evidence, it's kind of like an onside kick in football. Like, you're like, I mean, we do kind of have enough, but we don't know if we do. Let's just kind of risk it right here and kick it right here in the middle. So, but DAs, if they can they would much rather get a plea deal done, and that counts as a win for them versus actually getting a bad person behind bars. Because the DA, all they're doing is making sure they're going to still have a job. You know, if you go to court 10 times and then everyone gets out, I mean, you're not doing your job. But if you have 10 people that come to you and they all get plea deals, but they get off, that still looks good on you. So I think that's where there's a lot of problem also.
There's a case, there's a moment, there's a story, there's something that always seems to be like the red pill moment for people. The Idaho 4, for a lot of people that were like true crime fans, was that case, right? For people maybe in the military, it could have been 9/11 in the Middle East. For people that are into music, maybe it was Young Thug, whatever it might be. But my question to both of you is, like, why is it that people fight their own gut instinct when they hear something on the mainstream media? They know that it sounds weird, but they don't run with it. They just like keep it to themselves.
But there's a lot of people that do believe, I think, what we believe in, but they just don't have the ability or the space to say it in. You know what I'm saying? Maybe just more around their friends they can talk about this.
See, everybody, I think, makes this mistake of saying it's the frats, it's the roommates, it's this either or shit. Like, no, it's all a part of a thing where they have to lie for self-interested reasons. I think they're all a part of something that has to do with a government thing that went wrong. Basically, that drug task force that was surveilling and nabbing people, that everything went down in March of 2022. Yeah. 2020, was it 2 or 3? So the Idaho 4 happened in 2022, so it'd be 2023. March of 2023, when that takedown went down, that's when my antenna went, whoop, that's it. There's something going on in that area, because you wouldn't have federal, state, local agencies working together and Josh Hurwitz up to the microphone and he's sitting there and saying all of these state and local partners working together. And oh, by the way, it just so happens they said they were surveilling on the ground for over a year, the same areas where these murders just happened. And then that's when I go, something's up. And I guarantee you, those Aryan nations, those Fetty bros, the CJNG, whatever was operating in that trafficking line, okay? And they had confidential informants. They fucked up, okay? They lost control, and you could not have that headline. You could not have that headline. No. And so I believe also the frats, the loach, the this, the that, they were part of the trafficking process, because who has the parties? The parties are the frats. The frats, I guarantee you, were distributing product.
No, you don't necessarily want to be, the hero in the situation. You almost never want to be the hero, because you're always going to get fucked in the end. It's one of those things that I found when I was a young age, like, man, if I'm really trying to get my life going better on track, I probably shouldn't be going to all these parties and everything, because they're 10 times worse than what I was doing in high school. But now it's like organized. So if I'm a part of this organization, now I'm going to get fucked. So I think you've got some kids that still kind of come in on the back end. They still want to do it. Maybe they don't have a lot of friends. Maybe they want to get in, and they get into the fraternity, and then some shit goes down. They get busted. And you're like, oh shit, can we trust everybody? No, the fuck you can't. You just met this dude fucking last year, and the only reason he's in because he paid $10,000 in dues. That's not your real friend. One guy gets busted, he's going to flip on everybody else, like Sammy was saying.
And you also have to think too of the mentality. Like if they didn't say anything, I mean, the second this happened, nobody stayed. They took down their website. They took down their phone line. They were told not to answer any questions. Like it came from on high.
Well,
not say anything. And so that itself looks guilty alone. But why are they saying that? And that's where I think you get this whole ring of like the dirty cops, right? The dirty cops in Moscow, the Rosendals, allegedly, who were driving around with the partner, and they changed the timestamps, which we now know thanks to Lana, Truth and Transparency, and Pop. Right. And it's like,
and Sherlock.
And Sherlock. Love Sherlock. It's silly to just make it about one thing, because we can find something more guilty looking than others when there's this overarching network that's happening. And then you got the government trying to come in on this overarching network, but they don't want to make it look bad. And no, we weren't really flipping kids in college. No, we didn't do that. But we know colleges have a reputation for doing this, by the way, where they flip people. Yeah. And then they either kill themselves or they become dead in a drug deal. But yet they were also confidential informants. I mean, there's like news stories constantly about that.
Well, that's the thing that blows my head. Like I will say, for a lot of these fraternities, when they do have like that actual tight brotherhood, and they're not going to snitch on each other, and like if you want to run a drug ring and everything and whatnot, if I were to sit down today and say, let me run a drug traffic ring and a sex traffic ring, I'm not going to some people that I just met at my college that I just signed on that year. And then, I mean, I don't know how you can trust them. I mean, I've got the same 8 friends that I've had for the past 20 years. And every single college in America, they've got drugs, sex, money, and alcohol. I mean, that's every single fraternity in America. And none of these colleges do anything about it until it becomes a super problem. And then sometimes that problem becomes too big. They can't handle it in-house.
They destroyed the fucking house.
Dude.
Well, that's like 9/11 when the buildings crash and they all the metal and they send it over to China to be inspected. Like, what the fuck? The fucking building just got destroyed. It's in an active investigation, and you're sending the metal off to China so no instructional engineers can fucking look at it.
Rudy Giuliani's like on a fucking platform at the Hudson Yards. Get that shit out of here.
Yeah, right now, bitches, get it going.
And they have an NDA signed where you're not able to figure out the construction company, It's rumored that it's buried on the president of the university's property. How many times does this happen in a normal case? Never.
Yeah,
it's always
9/11.
No, I'm saying it's always a high profile case. It's always a controversial case when this happens. Like that's the truth.
I always had this theory that, people always say the world's worse than it is today, than it used to be. And then like shit, like, school shootings and everything aren't like they used to be. But back in like the 80s and shit, maybe not as many school shootings and everything, but we had bad shit going on. I think we just don't know about it because we didn't have social media. Like I can hear about something that happens in Alaska. Back in the 80s, people barely knew Alaska was real. They live in Georgia. It's like, is that really real? I've been there. I don't know what the fuck's going on. That's not real. So you just don't know. So I always feel like the world has always been crazy, and it's always been rough, and it's always been wild. We've always had these tragedies and everything going on. We've always had these cover-ups that happen. But you just don't have social media like you do nowadays back then, to where people can do what we're doing right now. We hop on a stream, we're discussing all of it, and you got people in the chat that are talking about it. They just didn't have that back in the day, because you watch so many of those, documentaries from like the 90s of girls getting killed or people getting kidnapped, or they're doing this and that, and no one ever really talked about it because there was no internet to like really research stuff. You had to be in that town. You had to be there, go to the library, requesting records and everything to figure anything out. And then people just called you fucking crazy the whole time because you're the only one doing it. But now we have the ability for everybody to look at it and everybody to discuss it. And that's why I feel like we have more of this shit going on nowadays.
So 250 stab wounds, give or take. You might miss a couple times because they had defensive wounds. I said in 7 minutes, approximately, up 2 flights of stairs in a house that you didn't decide to go into until the last second, when you have no connection to these people and you're just a serial killer. You have no history of violence. And it's like, how many people I don't know what the pound, like the force per pound is needed to have a knife go through skin to inflict a fatal wound. How many people can even do 250 curls with a resistance band in 7 minutes and run up 2 flights of stairs?
Yeah,
now leave no DNA.
I think we need to do like a Mythbusters test on this. We need to like come out to your place out there. We need to get some gel bodies. We need to run up the stairs and see if we can recreate this, and we'll all three give it a shot and just see who can get 250 stab wounds in that amount of time.
Wow.
I agree with you, and why they tore down the house.
Yeah,
I wonder if anybody can do it.
That's why they tore down the house.
We should try it. We should. That would definitely bring awareness.
Get somebody you're accusing the same weight, the same build. Get them with the same weapon you're accusing him of to do all of that with 4 able-bodied people, drunk maybe, okay, and murder them.
Well, okay? and it's like this.
7 minutes, and then just out.
And I get it. I don't know if Sam or if S. Nelson's is live saying come on, that's weird. I don't know if that's to this, because I've learned that the chat is not caught up. If it's in regards to that, I'm like, my first thought was like, I don't think that's weird. I think that's the first thing that I would have my attorney do. Try to have my attorney recreate this timeline.
Perfect shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, can I really go up there and stab that many people in that amount of time and get out of there? Obviously they're going to do that. They're going to recreate the scene and see if it was possible, right? I saw one a few weeks ago. It was something they were doing something about a shooting at a school. They were trying to accuse this one guy, and the attorney literally went out there, ran up over the hill, and got out of sight distance when the cop or a student said, I saw him for 45 seconds running over the hill and running up to the school. But as soon as he got over the hill, he got over in like 20 seconds and you couldn't see anything.
Even the Charlie Kirk thing, you're saying it's this weapon, but that weapon would blow his neck off his fucking head. And anybody who's shot a gun knows that. Like, what are you talking about? There's no exit wound. And then now you have to like add a religious element to this. Like, this is like Jesus Christ on the cross was his spine, and he's just somehow the only one with the spine of steel. Like, he's Clark Kent. I'm so over it.
That's where you kind of get to that like whole religion thing with like, it was a miracle.
No, it's not right.
Yeah. No, it's not right to do that. Look, people are saying, Birdie, this guy doesn't know the case. I know. I'm aware of it. That he doesn't know it as good as us. But let me just say this. He, like many others, guys, do you think that it's beneficial to wake people up that know the case like we all do? Or do you think it's beneficial to have somebody in here who's got over 3 million people that follow him across social media, bring him into the hive and wake him up in real time? That's my goal. That's my goal. I would rather have somebody come in and be on the fence than just live in an echo chamber like every single effing mainstream media channel has. You know, and I'm not attacking people specifically. So what? He doesn't know the case. I realize I look into this case at a psychotically obsessed level because this is the case that I made my bet in. But that's not the majority of people.
Well, the point is this following, or like what he clearly is good at ranting. So do you want him to rant and have an idea about what the alternative is or not? Right? Like if you're going to have somebody who takes a introspective look at things, a heterodox look at things, you're going to want that person to have every side of the coin. So you might as well bring them into the hive.
Like Brandon, when you were gone, again, I'm not calling anybody out specifically because it's a general consensus about anybody that doesn't know this case like we do.
They bitching about me. Oh, okay.
No, they just said like you don't know the case that well, and I said that's fine. I knew that, but like guys, Scott Payne came on here. He didn't know the case, but there's still a hell of a lot of takeaways from a guy who was undercover inside the Nazis and the Outlaws, and he talked about how you could stage a violent event legally. If there's a murder for hire hit, you can take pictures. You can go to somebody and say, "This is your one chance to cooperate. We'll make it look real to catch these guys." Right? Yeah. So like there's takeaways that you can apply to undercover people.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, to me, I don't 100% know a lot about this case. I know you've talked about it on our show before, and, I've watched you talk about it a few times, and obviously I know the information about it, but it's like one of those things where, I wouldn't expect to know everything when I came to it. I know a little bit about it, and that's why I want to talk to you guys about it, and I think that's the best thing about what, you do here is you bring on new people that don't 100% know about it so they can ask questions and figure out what's really going on, because, I mean, obviously I have my own conspiracies and things that I really hit on and things I think about and whatnot. And, I'm down for fucking anything, baby. I'm
Can I ask you something? What do you think of Erica Kirk?
I think she's a very odd woman. I wasn't a huge fan of Charlie. I liked some of the things he said. I didn't like the way he came off and like going to schools and everything. I wasn't a huge fan, but I do believe a lot of what he said. But I have looked into it, and She knew Trump beforehand. She's part of his the Miss Arizona, I believe it was, that she won the competition at. She went to Charlie Turning Point USA for a job, and then now she went as like a fucking sign-on, and now she's number one. But the main thing with the Charlie Kirk situation, the Erica Kirk situation, was to me is the information he's had a few days before he was killed. The text messages came out. Obviously, Candace was talking about it, was about how he doesn't want it to propagandize for whatever group that hates Jesus, whatever group that is, and whatever group that wants to control the U.S. You look into it and you just start looking into it a little more, and you're just kind of like, we kind of saw this before, right? Back with JFK when he was looking into, he wanted Israel. He wanted Israel to disclose.
I just gotta say, I gotta interrupt. For people that are saying, "Are y'all vetting him with Kirk stuff?" Does anybody think that this is a professional fucking talk show?
Wait, is he kidding?
I don't understand what people are saying by vetting people. People said, "Did I vet Will?" And then they came at his motocross thing. And that's somebody who's apparently very logical and high up in the true crime community. This is a fun live stream that is a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theory stream. If people go, "Are you vetting him?" The fuck am I going to vet somebody for? I vetted Will. I did vet Will because I had Phoenix, who has aspects of private investigators. Let me just finish the shit because this is to my core. Like, part of me questions some people in here. Like, why is it that you could look at this lens in one case and then be the biggest hypocrite about everything else? And I get it. You don't like the approach. You don't like this. You don't like how it's said. You don't like. Do you realize that's everything that we are against in the Idaho 4 case? So wake the fuck up. I'm a normal person. I'm doing this because I enjoy it, but no, I don't have a manager. I don't have a producer. I don't have anybody that's telling me who I can bring on, who I can't. Brandon's a friend of mine. Sammy's a friend of mine. Phoenix is a friend of mine. Devil's Advocate's a friend of mine. I'll talk to anybody for any reason. And I don't care if I agree with them. I don't care if I disagree with them. I don't care if maybe I don't like the words they say, or if you don't like the words they say. That is free speech. And we are all way better off to have it be that way and somebody get butthurt in the chat than to have it be the opposite way. And we're all going to be under the thumb of an oppressor because we're never going to be able to vote our way out of that. We're going to be cooked more than we already are. And the people that say that shit are some of the people that got us into this mess after decades and decades and centuries of being
True.
Isn't it funny though? Like as soon as I bring up anything about the Jews or Israel or anything like that, everybody's freaking the fuck out.